on your side.
From ABC News, World News Sunday, here's Forrest Sawyer.
Good evening. The White House embarrassment over the illegal hiring of domestic workers is now spread to a member of the cabinet, Commerce Secretary Ron Brown. Today, Brown said he, too, had failed to pay taxes for a worker. With the nominee for Attorney General withdrawn from consideration because of a similar problem, along with a potential new nominee, President Clinton is faced with a political problem. How to get attention back to the critical issues facing the nation. First, Kathleen Delaski on this latest flap.
Commerce Secretary Ron Brown was never questioned about nanny or housekeeper violations during his confirmation hearings. Today it became clear that maybe he should have been.
Who had you failed to pay Social Security taxes on?
One person who came into the house on an irregular basis over the past 4 or 5 years for 3 hours a week.
Brown said he didn't know about the tax law. It says if you pay a domestic worker more than $50 in a 3-month period, you must pay Social Security and Medicare taxes.
They were paid as soon as I found out that there was, in fact, an issue, as soon as I found out that there was an obligation to pay those taxes.
Should Ron Brown lose his job over this?
Without knowing the circumstances that you're describing to me, I'd be unable to give you a definitive analysis, but I would not think so.
But from Washington to Los Angeles this weekend, talk radio is humming with accusations of a double standard.
They should check the men and the rest of them and all of them.
I think the men are going to be asked these questions from now on.
Women's groups ask why Kimba Wood, who broke no laws, is off the list for Attorney General, while Ron Brown and sources say others in the administration broke a tax law and it's okay.
I think that is unfair. Either everyone should be subjected to the same standards or no one should.
Defending the decision to drop Kimba Wood from the list, the vice president said Wood had no legal problem. The concern was communication.
The process of communication has to be one that the president feels comfortable with, and you can't minimize the importance of that.
The whole issue now has all of Washington running for cover. H&R Block reports that the phones are busy with people who suddenly want to pay back taxes. Accountants are trying to explain that even teenage babysitters and gardeners come under this law.
There is a problem in distinguishing who's an employee and who's a self-employed or an independent contractor.
Collecting these back taxes may provide another source of government revenue, but even so, officials here are uneasy. They tried to put the Zoe Baird problem to rest by avoiding Kimba Wood. Their caution created more problems. Kathleen Delaski, ABC News, the White House.
As for the president's chief concern, the economy, Mr. Clinton is planning a symbolic move that will indicate he wants the entire country to share in any sacrifice. He's expected to announce White House staff cuts this week, possibly as much as 25%. And some workers have already gotten their pink slips, about 20 employees in the White House unit that takes calls and letters from the public. Sheila Kast reports Clinton aides are out making sure this economic message is being heard.
Officials of the Clinton administration fanned out across Washington to spread the word that they are serious about cutting government spending. The vice president spoke on This Week with David Brinkley.
Well, we're going to focus, first of all, on eliminating unnecessary and wasteful spending.
Before we get into even talking about individual tax increases, we're looking at spending cuts.
The vice president all but ruled out one proposal to raise taxes, though he seemed torn.
What about the gasoline tax?
That's never been high on the list of any options because it gets at a very narrow slice of the marketplace, and it hits different regions unfairly, and that's never been high on the list of options.
Mr. Gore promised the administration would unveil new spending cuts even before the president's speech, although he offered no specifics. As for the most controversial cut of all, the proposal to freeze Social Security benefits, he said it's still on the table.
But we're not considering any option that puts an unfair burden on those who've already sacrificed too much.
Opposition to a Social Security freeze is growing. One advocacy group, Families USA, said in a new report that nearly half the savings would come from people with incomes under $20,000 a year. And Republicans stepped up their opposition to other parts of the Clinton plan. 4 Republican leaders wrote the president today criticizing plans for $15 to $30 billion in short-term government spending to create jobs.
It seems to me 15, 20, or 30 would be a gnat on an elephant
It wouldn't do any good, and it would increase the deficit.
There is still a week and a half to go before the president unveils his final plan to Congress. Plenty of time to float many more ideas and back away from several of them. Sheila Cast, ABC News, Washington.
One other Washington story, more women are now accusing Oregon Senator Robert Packwood of uninvited sexual advances. Today's Washington Post says 13 more women have come forward with their accusations, and that brings to 23 the number who have recounted incidents dating from 1969 to 1990. An attorney for Packwood says the senator will respond to the charges before the Senate Ethics Committee. When we come back, the life and career of tennis great Arthur Ashe.
World News Sunday, brought to you by Grecian Plus Foam.
Oh no, my hair's not only going gray, now it's getting thinner. I wish they made something for gray thinning hair.
They have Grecian Plus. Grecian Plus is a fresh-smelling foam that gradually brings back natural-looking color, the famous Grecian way. But this Grecian has a big plus. It builds body for healthier, fuller-looking hair.
Your hair looks great. Feels thicker, too.
Grecian Plus, the total treatment for gray thinning hair.
You know, your mom says get 3 to 5 servings of vegetables a day.
Who's got the time for all that chewing?
I don't know.
I drink the V8. It's like a serving of vegetables.
Then one can, I got everything.
Vegetable, it is you friends. I like it.
Fixodent Fresh. The spring water fresh feeling is reason enough to try it. And it's the strongest holding adhesive, so you'll never settle for anything less. Crisp freshness. Strongest hold. 2 great reasons to Fixodent and forget it.
America is mourning the passing of Arthur Ashe, the pioneering black tennis player who campaigned off the court for human rights and for AIDS research. In place of our usual sports report, ABC's Dick Schaap in New York has a look at what Arthur Ashe accomplished. Dick?
Thank you, Forrest. To say that Arthur Ashe played tennis is to say that Benjamin Franklin flew kites. It barely scratches the surface of the man.
You won't be able to do all of this till you've played for a while, but it makes life interesting if you can do it. You can hit the ball.
Arthur Ashe always did what he wasn't supposed to do. A black man from Virginia wasn't supposed to become a tennis player. He certainly wasn't supposed to become a great player, gifted enough to win the first U.S. Open. 7 years later, Ashe wasn't supposed to beat the best young tennis player in the world, but he outthought and outplayed Jimmy Connors and won the Wimbledon championship. And surely a slender, superbly conditioned athlete wasn't supposed to suffer a heart attack in his 30s, an attack that led to bypass surgery and blood transfusions that led in turn to AIDS. And Ashe, who never felt sorry for himself and never wanted others to feel sorry for him, wasn't supposed to announce that he had AIDS. Only a reporter's questions prompted Ashe to go public.
It put me in the unenviable position of having to lie if I wanted to protect our privacy. No one should have to make that choice.
Then, facing a disease for which there was no known cure, Ashe, not surprisingly, chose to use his energy and his intelligence to fight AIDS. But he wasn't supposed to work so tirelessly, so selflessly, to raise money to search for a cure.
You don't give up no matter what the score is. Even if the other team's trying to run up the score on you, you don't give up.
AIDS was the final fight for this special man who stood up to prejudice, spoke out against apartheid, coached the U.S. Davis Cup team, offered tips to inner-city children, authored a history of the black athlete. This inspiring man, this role model who so loved his wife and daughter and life.
Arthur was the ultimate competitor in tennis and in life, said Jeannie Ashe. He fought hard on the last days of his life, and even though he lost his battle, as in his tennis days, it was how he played the game that mattered.
Since I found out that I had AIDS, I had become unbelievably creative. It's just incredible.
Most of all, Arthur Ashe wasn't supposed to die so young. I knew Arthur as subject, colleague, and friend for roughly half his life. And when I heard last night that he had died, I tried to think of how I could present a balanced portrait of him. His flaws as well as his virtues, his weaknesses as well as his strengths. And as hard as I tried, I couldn't think of a flaw or a weakness. Then I tried to think of anyone else I could say that about, and I couldn't come up with one name. Arthur Ashe was a singular man.
Merrill Lynch doesn't do it. Fidelity doesn't do it. Citibank doesn't do it. There's a breakthrough in retirement investing, and only Charles Schwab does it. Only Schwab gives you the lifetime guaranteed no annual fee IRA and no load mutual funds from leading fund companies. Only Schwab gives you the single best way to buy mutual funds for your retirement. So, if you're still paying transaction fees or loads,
maybe it's time to come to Schwab.
It was best in show at the North American International Auto Show. It has more room than the Infiniti Q45 and more horsepower than the BMW 525i. It has dual airbags and a built-in fold-down child seat. Where this car is made is not nearly as important as where it's sold. Introducing the Chrysler Concorde, the renaissance of the American car.
Mary Brody won't feel the tiny lump in her breast for another 2 years. But it'll be discovered tomorrow after her first mammogram, thanks in part to an X-ray film created by DuPont. And for Mary Brody, early detection means a 2-year head start on the rest of her life. At DuPont, we make the things that make a difference. Better things for better living.
State finals coming up. A lot of pressure to win. I don't eat right, I get irregular, so I don't project a winning attitude, and the boys see that. I tried some natural bulk fiber, but I couldn't take all that grit. Then I discovered Sunrise Smooth Metamucil. No grit in the mix or the taste. Easy to get the extra fiber I need every day to stay regular. You got a winning attitude, you win, if you're lucky.
Metamucil, and you could stay regular for the rest of your life.
News across the nation, the Reverend Jesse Jackson led a silent march through the Little Haiti section of Miami today to pressure the Clinton administration to return Haiti's first elected president, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, to power. At the 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant today, a former employee with a history of mental illness crashed a car through an entrance gate. He was in the plant compound for 4 hours before being arrested, but the incident caused no problems and the plant continues to operate at full power. And in Virginia, a showdown is shaping up between the gun lobby and Governor Douglas Wilder over his controversial new gun control proposal. ABC's Walter Rogers reports.
Joining us for an hour, the governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, L. Douglas Wilder.
It is a local gun control battle with national implications.
I don't believe that you can make a legitimate argument that you need to be able to buy more than one gun per month.
The Virginia governor's plan for a monthly quota on handgun sales has been drawing ferocious fire all weekend from National Rifle Association members.
It's not the gun, it's the finger on the trigger.
Gun owners have marched on Richmond, and the NRA is pulling out all the stops to kill the Virginia bill.
I have a constitutional right to buy, if I'm a law-abiding citizen, as many firearms as I want.
Gun control advocates see Virginia as a real chance to beat the NRA.
You can be part of the problem or part of the solution. Pick a hand.
Most police support limits on handgun purchases, saying Virginia has become the source of firearms that drives murder rates in New York and Washington. Virginia lawmakers vote tomorrow on a compromise that leaves it to the state police to decide if a gun buyer really needs more than one handgun a month. Regardless of what Virginia decides, a handgun quota bill now has backers in Congress.
Our legislation will put a limit of one handgun per person per month nationwide to avoid this problem where some states are becoming virtual shopping centers for gun purchases to export them to other states.
The gun lobby fears a defeat in Virginia will prompt Congress to limit monthly handgun sales in all 50 states, which is why Virginia has now become such a major battleground. Walter Rogers, ABC News, Washington.
Some stern new federal safety warnings may be on the way because of a recent incident at New York's Kennedy Airport. Time magazine reports a DC-10 nearly crashed on landing when somebody in first class turned on a portable CD player. Now, safety officials say that stray electronic emissions from cellular phones, electronic games, even personal computers can interfere with flight controls during takeoffs and landings. Former President Reagan celebrated his 82nd birthday by raising money for his presidential library in Southern California. He was joined at a black tie fundraiser by an old ally, former British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. The gala raised more than $250,000 for the Reagan Library. When we come back, new violence in the occupied territories, bringing new charges against the Israeli army.
Its performance is unsurpassed. Its design, a breakthrough. Simply put, it's an engineering marvel, cutting fuel consumption by up to 40%. And the thought of owning one is enough to quicken the heartbeat. It's the Lennox Dimension Air Conditioner. The air conditioner built for high-efficiency performance and cool family comfort. The Lennox Dimension Air Conditioner. Because for energy savings and comfort, must be a Lennox.
Why Centrum Silver? Because you're over 50 and you're just hitting your stride. Centrum Silver vitamins. Because the latest scientific research about changing nutritional needs after 50 is built in. Centrum Silver. It's a great time to be silver.
A kiss? No, I'm sorry. I don't think so.
Oh, no, please, no, baby, no.
Oh, not a good idea. Not now.
No, bad time.
Fight morning breath with Scope. Scope has 2 powerful ingredients that kill 90% of the bacteria that cause morning breath.
Your kiss is ready. Pucker up.
Right on the kisser.
Come on. Kiss morning breath goodbye with Scope.
Give me that kiss.
A night for Excedrin PM.
My allowance stinks!
Your vacation?
Canceled.
I can't sleep and my head aches.
Excedrin PM. Headache medicine plus it helps you sleep. And rest assured it's aspirin-free.
Twilight yawns as shadows fall. Too weak to rise. Darkness fills the skies. Night winds scour the planet clean, allowing space for us to dream. What better time than this, as the night shapes its vast cradle, to pull the sheets up tight and lay down our heads for night. Serta, we make the world's best mattress.
One day, build a new federal building from scratch or lease like everyone else. What do you think? Your money, your choice. On ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
International news, a strong earthquake measuring 6.6 on the Richter scale shook north-central Japan today. No immediate reports of serious damage or injuries. In the Philippines, the Mayon volcano is still spewing lava and steam, but so far, that widely predicted second major eruption has not happened. There were more funerals today for the nearly 70 Filipino villagers who died in Tuesday's eruption. Israeli forces shot and killed a 16-year-old Palestinian in Arab East Jerusalem today, bringing the Palestinian death toll in this weekend's clashes to 7. This new violence has meant new charges against the Israeli army, as ABC's Dean Reynolds reports.
The violence in the occupied territories this weekend has bolstered charges that the Israeli army has increased the use of gunfire against Palestinian demonstrators. In addition to the deaths, more than 70 Palestinians, including many children, were wounded during this latest upsurge of confrontations, principally in the Gaza Strip. Israeli officials say soldiers' orders have not been changed. But February is well on its way to being the 5th straight month in which more than 10 Palestinians have been killed by army gunfire. Much of the recent violence is seen as a reaction to Israel's deportation of more than 400 Palestinian militants in December. The subsequent offer to return 100 of them has done little to lower the temperature. Today, 5 sick deportees were taken from hospitals in southern Lebanon back to jails in Israel. The remainder of the men say they will stay put in the frigid no man's land that has been their home for 7 weeks. Today on This Week with David Brinkley, Prime Minister Rabin defended his expulsion order in light of continuing Palestinian attacks on Jews.
We haven't done anything that cannot be reversible. The killing of the Israelis are not reversible.
Rabin said he is willing to make concessions to keep the peace process alive.
But on the other hand, I have to make clear that I cannot endanger the security of Israel, the security of its people.
When Secretary of State Warren Christopher visits here later this month, he will be trying to put the Middle East peace process back on track. And by the look of things now, he can't get here soon enough. Dean Reynolds, ABC News, Tel Aviv.
Still overseas in the former Yugoslavia, Croatians voted in regional elections today, balloting that is expected to strengthen the political grip of Croatia's President Tudjman, whose army is waging an offensive against Serb rebels. And tomorrow in New York, the UN Security Council will discuss ways of speeding up the peace process in what used to be Yugoslavia. This weekend, at a NATO meeting in Munich, Defense Secretary Les Aspin floated some Clinton administration proposals for ending the bloodshed. As ABC's Bob Zelnick reports, the Allies' reaction was mixed.
Defense Secretary Aspin left Munich today after urging allies to back stronger action designed to end the fighting in Bosnia-Herzegovina while forcing the Serbs to relinquish more of their gains on the ground.
Europe and the alliance are not secure if we fail to bring the full force of our influence to bear in contributing to a restoration of peace.
But in a series of bilateral meetings, he found key leaders wary of using force to stop the fighting.
Diplomats come cheaper than infantry battalions. They can be more effective.
Others endorsed a plan now before the UN which would divide political power in Bosnia-Herzegovina among 10 ethnic regions.
Der Friedensplan von Vance and Owen.
The peace plan developed by Cyrus Vance and Lord Owen is a realistic attempt to end the war.
Privately, senior U.S. officials described the Vance-Owen plan as a nightmare which is opposed by Muslim victims of Serbian aggression. Also, they fear it could lead to renewed fighting if UN peacekeepers fail to get the Serbs to pull back from captured territory, just as the Vance Accord between the Serbs and Croats recently broke down. But the reality in Europe is that few nations are willing to supply additional forces to push the Serbs back or even to break their siege on Sarajevo. Further, any stern U.S.-backed measures against the Serbs now face a likely Russian veto at the UN. So senior U.S. officials concede that the Vance-Owen proposal will provide the framework for President Clinton's plan to deal with the crisis. But Clinton is likely to want the Serbs to wind up with less territory than the current plan. He may also make U.S. forces available to expand humanitarian relief efforts. And he may offer to have the U.S. Navy patrol the Danube River, where goods shipped in violation of UN sanctions are reaching Serbia. One European diplomat summed up Aspin's efforts this way: "We know the Clinton administration means well, but we've lived with this crisis for 2 years. And no one in office only 3 weeks is going to make us start from scratch." Bob Zelnick, ABC News, Munich.
When we return after a half-century of friendship, breaking up is hard to do.
You know, your mom says get 3 to 5 servings of vegetables a day.
Who's got the time for all that chewing?
I don't know.
I drink the V8. It's like a serving of vegetables.
Someone can. I got everything.
Vegetable, it is you friends. I like it.
Hey, if you thought $1 didn't go far these days, check out the huge Ace Dollar Day sale.
Glue and gloves.
Bags.
And bulbs. Cords and coffee filters.
And more for just $1
each.
It goes to show you, Ace is America's place for better value. Hey, there's still more room back there.
You make me feel so young.
Promise Extra Light. Great taste with half the saturated fat and calories of margarine.
You make me feel so young.
Promise. Get Heart Smart.
Now the original clean of Prel Green is back. Work. Clean. There's no cleaner clean.
Prel Green.
This week, are the electric products you use every day increasing your risk of cancer?
Also getting your credit cards under control, and my day as Oprah's guest on Good Morning America.
Finally tonight, with President Clinton trying to wrestle the federal budget deficit into line, the Pentagon is faced with some tough decisions. One of them is recognizing that the military threat in Europe is not so great now, and it's time to start bringing American military personnel back home. In fact, reducing the troops there to just 100,000 by 1996, which means a lot of old friends are starting to say goodbye. Here's ABC's John Lawrence.
They were in a nostalgic mood in Woodbridge, England this weekend, celebrating a half-century of American military presence in the area and saying goodbye. This part of England first saw American pilots and crews in 1942 during World War II, at the beginning of the special relationship. Now, the U.S. Air Force Base at Bentwaters near Woodbridge is closing down, part of the overall American military withdrawal from Europe.
I think Americans and citizens of most of the free world have an expectation that there is a dividend to be gained from a safer world, and that part of that is to be reaped from a smaller United States military.
The village of Woodbridge, which once thrived on the American military presence, will lose about $10 million worth of business a year.
It's had a dramatic effect on us, not only in as much as I'm losing my job, but I mean the whole area is just going down further and further. The china shops closed, florists have closed, dress shops have closed. It's just one thing after another.
American families here, like Greg and Kim Sanders, are part of the local community. Their children attend English schools.
I'll feel kind of sad, but in my heart I'll feel happy too, because I'm going back to America. That's my home, really. I'll feel sad since I'm leaving everyone.
Kim Sanders is going home to Texas, while Sally Brown, her British friend, is staying behind.
As you grow older, you realize that relationships are actually the hardest things to give up.
And I've taken great pride in being associated with Americans and the base, and I must admit I cry a little now when I think about you going.
50 years of friendship, common purpose, and shared sacrifices will not be swept away by the closing down of another U.S. airbase and the departure of 10,000 more Americans. But it will hurt. John Lawrence, ABC News, Woodbridge, England.
And that is World News Sunday. Peter Jennings will be back tomorrow on World News Tonight. I'm Forrest Sawyer. Good night.
From Washington, this has been World News Sunday.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
We need a couple of strike teams up here right away.
Where's Daddy?
We have to go right now.
Let's go.
Jill Clayburgh, Michael Gross, and LeVar Burton. Firestorm, Sunday.
We're absolutely delighted. We are in rapture. We are beside ourselves. People have so fallen in love with the softness of angel soft. It's become